AEW did it. Tony Khan did it. They embarrassed themselves. And in this video, we're going to discuss what everyone is talking about, the CM Punk All-In footage, right? When they announced on WrestleMania night during Collision that they were going to have the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson, take to AEW Dynamite and air the CM Punk Jack Perry confrontation / mix-up brawl on their flagship show on TNT. It caught everyone off guard. It had everyone talking. And then people were speculating, would they really air said footage? Well, they did. And that backs up reports from Dave Meltzer and Fightful and PW Insider and everybody and their dog who reported on this. So, what happened? Well, you had the Young Bucks fittingly sitting in a little room backstage with a monitor behind them. And Tony Khan, going into this show, spoke with, I think it was Approx and Definitely Sports Illustrated. And he explained that his decision to air said footage is due to building interest into the Young Bucks versus FTR match at AEW Dynasty on April 21st. Now, of course, they are meeting in the tournament to crown new AEW Tag Team Champions. And so you have the Young Bucks sitting there, and they blame their loss to FTR at All In last August at Wembley Stadium, AEW's biggest event in company history, its largest attended event, on the fact that CM Punk and Jack Perry had a backstage altercation. And they were so worried that that incident would jeopardize AEW that they lost the match. And they questioned whether FTR, who obviously they wrestled and is good friends with CM Punk, who was not mentioned, could have been the masterminds behind it. Now, Jack Perry was mentioned. He was the scapegoat. I believe it was Matt that was wearing the scapegoat shirt. It could have been Nick. Either way, one of them was wearing a scapegoat shirt. And that was the premise behind it. So we saw this grainy security footage with no sound, which made it a lot better. You see Jack Perry walk back into Gorilla. You have CM Punk walk towards Perry. They start exchanging words. Things get more and more intense. Punk shoves Jack Perry, and then a scuffle breaks out. It looks like Jack goes for a double leg takedown. Punk caught him in a guillotine before being broken up by the likes of Chris Hero and Samoa Joe, among others. Then we see CM Punk, who was knocked into a table in which had monitors. He then proceeded to go up to the table, and there was a mini wall that was blocking off whoever was behind this table, presumably Tony Khan, and kind of went towards him with a lot of anger. So lunging, I guess, is the correct terminology. And Punk said on the MMA Hour that, in his belief, it was due to the fact that he went up and he told Jack Perry, why do you keep insisting on doing this indie stuff with the real glass? Now, obviously, the backstory to this was Punk reportedly, and even spoke on the MMA Hour, that he went up to Perry on a Collision event and said, look, I don't know why you want to use real glass for this spot. It will hurt the rest of the boys because rental car companies won't rent to us if we return their car with broken glass, a broken windshield essentially. Don't do that. Use, sugar glass or another alternative. And on the All-In pre-show during his match with Hook, Perry said, real glass, cry me a river. So Punk goes up to him, and he said that he took inspiration from former UFC fighter Chael Sonnen, which is, if you allow someone to get close, then you're just asking to get punched in the face. So that's why he went after Perry. Now, Tony Khan had said that he feared for his life in that moment. Now, Dave Meltzer noted that the actual footage that Khan is referring to is not the footage that was shown on Dynamite. So I don't know if there was a separate incident. I don't know what. But Punk said on the MMA Hour that he told Tony Khan that he was a clown and that his company was a joke and that he quit. It's a bad look. It was a bad look from the moment that they announced the segment. It was a bad look the day that they aired this segment. It was a bad look when Tony Khan tried to defend the segment in interviews, and it was a bad look coming out of it. Punk took to Instagram and shared this photo of George Bush with a thumbs up, and behind him said "Mission accomplished." That was his, response to that. It looks minor league. It looks minor league. And on the same show, you had Will Ospreay call out Triple H for saying, without mentioning Ospreay's name over WrestleMania weekend, we want guys that are willing to grind the schedule, not part-time stars. It came across minor league. Punk, I think it was Brandon Thurston who said this on Twitter. Someone said on Twitter, Punk is one of WWE's biggest stars. At the same time, he is AEW's biggest star. And it's like, yeah, there was no reason to air this footage going into this show, because if the footage proved Punk right, then he was right. And if it proved Punk wrong, so what? What is being accomplished? What is the point? You're not drawing money from it. Yes, you're popping a segment in the ratings. Even if you drew 3 million viewers off of this, you're going to be exactly right back to where you are a week later. There's nothing to accomplish from that sense. And it was embarrassing because it happened in the past and they continuously relive it. And now Dave Meltzer noted on the Wrestling Observer Radio that the internal reaction, the backstage reaction to the segment was just that. People are really frustrated that AEW wanted to go back to the past, a week or two later after Punk went on the MMA Hour and gave his side of the story, when they're trying to move forward in 2024 with all of this new talent. It does not help whatsoever that AEW has been drawing some of its lowest ratings in years leading up to this week, and you decide to do that, right? That is no different from hot-shotting any kind of big-time match or against anything that you can do possibly hot-shotting. It was a bad look for AEW. I wish they did not air this. I was tuned in like everyone else. I'm a AEW fan. Heck, I have a vlog on the channel of me going to AEW Dynamite when they came to Tulsa. But it's like, what are we doing? It's just a bad, bad look.